The government has a plan to get people off benefits and back into work. However, do the ends justify the means? Are claimants being coerced into agreeing to non-mandatory terms by companies employed by the government to reduce our nation's unemployed statistics rather than increase employment opportunities? Do the decision makers automatically assume that every doubt or DMA received is eligible for a sanction without checking? Like many other claimants, I have been mandated to the Community Work Placement Scheme for assisting persons into work. Ironically, I was already searching for a voluntary job in my area of expertise, and it seems my Job Centre Plus advisor is able to read minds. Just like the Catch-22 scenario with A for E, it was my intention to find out if the rights of the individual are deliberately being overlooked, and if the providers of the scheme can cater for the ones that know their rights. Throughout the course of my brief investigation and personal experience, I have discovered that it is particularly difficult to even get on the scheme when you know your rights. However, I have elected to suffer a little to make available to you the information and references that may help maintain your right not to sign any documentation the provider has drawn up, and what I did when they persisted to raise inappropriate doubts against me. I was initially referred in late November 2014. However, 3 months on, I still hadn't been successfully accepted onto the scheme. This was due to the provider preventing me from participating and returning my referrals back to the job centre, claiming that a failure to sign constituted an incomplete appointment, resulting in a failure to participate, all of which was untrue. On my first appointment with the CWP provider Work Solutions, I only had a gut feeling that, just like the work program, I wasn't obliged to sign. Later that day, I called my advisor and made a Freedom of Information request asking the same question. Does a failure to sign constitute a failure to participate? The response from the Freedom of Information request states, there is no mandatory requirement for individuals to sign specific forms issued to them by providers. Where a participant declines to sign a provider's forms, this does not mean they automatically do not have to take part in the Community Work Placement Program. The following conversation is between me and my Job Centre Plus advisor, and his response to the same question.
Good afternoon, please said it's Rob again from the Job Centre.
Hey Rob, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Yourself? I've just been having a quick look again now. And as far as that's concerned, I mean, if the only things in the contract are the activities that they expect you to do to move off job seekers alarms and into work, then yeah, you will be required to sign it. Otherwise you will be classed as not participating. Now, if you want more information on this, you might want to Google the Job Seekers Allowance Regulations Scheme for Assisting Persons to Obtain Employment 2030, and they should tell you everything that you would need to know about that.
Having two conflicting answers can sometimes be frustrating, especially when you know you're going to be sanctioned due to an error. However, if, like me, you're confident that the sanction will be overturned and look for the silver liner, you will see this error as a trump card. You can use this in the future, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. Now that I had evidence that it was an unsanctionable offence, assuming the DWP Freedom of Information request was fact, I see no reason to explain why I'd failed something I didn't fail. The following conversation was with my Job Centre Plus advisor, where I informed him of the result of my second referral to the Community Work Placements provider.
Good morning, Job Centre Plus, Rob speaking. Can I help you?
Hi Rob, it's Peter Baker here.
Hello, Peter.
What happened was, I went to the appointment yesterday, the referral.
Yeah.
And I informed them that I'd signed because I have no choice because I've been punished before, it'd be under duress. And we discussed it, and officially they have refused to accept the signature. So they're going to return it back to the job centre. After ignoring that first inquiry over a failure to participate, resulting in an effective although inappropriate sanction, I decided to respond to the second inquiry. The following conversation is with me and a representative of the labour market decision maker, where I talk about my letter, which is en route but may possibly arrive late.
Good morning, future labour market decision making team. My name is Christine. How can I help you?
Hiya Christine, I've received one of your inquiry forms and a doubt's been raised. The letter's dated the 15th. The reason why I'm calling is because I've sent a letter, but I'm actually not sure if it's going to arrive on time, so I was wondering if I could give you a kind of an auditory advanced delivery of that letter.
Yeah, okay. Do you want to run through briefly what's in that letter then, Peter, please?
Yeah, sure. Basically, it's saying that the a doubt's been raised and over an unsanctionable offence. Claimants need not sign, but they still do have to participate. I was so confident that the sanction would be overturned that I decided to take early formal action against the community work placement provider Work Solutions in the form of a cease and desist demand, justified by the two trump cards, two inappropriate doubts raised against me, and informed them that I would seek legal redress through the courts. I also warned them that the police may be involved, as further persistence on the matter would constitute a breach of the Protection from Harassment Act 1997 and potentially the Fraud Act 2006. After going through a tiring appeals process, I eventually came to this conclusion with this phone call with an explanation from the DWP after I won. Hello?
I'm through to Mr. Baker.
Who's speaking, please?
My name's Steve Rennie, I'm to work for DWP. Is that Mr. Baker?
It is, yes.
Okay, I'm really returning your call you made, when was it, earlier today, regarding your appeal. Just before we get going, I do need to cover some security questions with you.
Okay.
Do you mind just confirming the first line of your address and postcode, please? Okay, so you're asking about your appeal. Now, we've revised and allowed at the appeal stage, so you should have had a letter explaining our reasons for revising it. What it boils down to is that we were uncertain that the original decision was correct, so we decided to overturn it. They were asking you to sign documents and based the original decision on the fact that you refused to sign documents. We've recently had advice which suggests that that decision wasn't correct. So normally, if somebody's not cooperating in any way with something like the work programme or the community work placement, then they would be sanctioned. However, we can't sanction you simply for not signing the document.
So does that mean that a failure to sign doesn't constitute a failure to participate?
Just be careful on this. It does. You are correct for certain job centre actions. The exception to that is signing your original claim form and signing your claimant commitment or job seekers agreement, whichever one you use at the job centre. But they can't insist on you signing anything on the community workplace, and that's the reason we overturned that decision. Although I can understand where the original decision came from, I've got to say.
The Tribunal's success and the Job Centre Plus references, along with links to the Freedom of Information requests and the Cease and Desist template, are available in the description below. But please keep in mind that this will only get you out of signing, and you must show that you are willing to participate. Feel free to like, comment and subscribe, and although I do hope to post more in the future, it's a bit like praying for corruption to continue, so